Good morning to you all. I'm happy to be here once again. I go by the name Baraka Immaculate Falls, your agriculture teacher. So today we are going to be handling cattle production, senior 3. I know very many of us have heard of cattle, but we literally don't know what type of cattle we do have, how do we take care of them, what do they give you. So today we are going to be looking at all that. So one, we're going to look at the definition of cattle production. So, and here they're saying cattle production is a branch of agriculture concerned with the breeding, rearing, feeding, management, and marketing of cattle products such as meat, milk, etc. So, cattle production in a layman's language is just the rearing of uh, cows and bulls. Okay, because cattle, we only have cows and bulls. Though nowadays people confuse, you find someone calling a bull a cow, but they always differentiate them. If there are many, we call them cattle. So again, look at the importance of cattle production. Cattle production contributes significantly to agriculture and the economy by providing the following: one, meat for human consumption. Apart from the people who do not eat meat, you're going to find that 75 sorry 75% of our population actually enjoys beef. So we get meat which is eaten by humans from cattle. Next is milk and dairy products. The cows give us milk, and from milk we get other dairy products. For example, you get skimmed milk, the latto, you get butter, you get yogurt, you get ice cream, you get bongo. So there are very many things that you can get from milk, but all these things come from cattle. Next is they provide or they give us hides and skins for leather industries. The shoes you put on, some of the bags are made from hides and skins. Now, hides and skins come from very many animals. So even cattle provide us with that. Leather industries are industries that do leather shoes, leather bags, leather couches or sofas, yeah, anything to do with leather, the belts, among others. They also provide manure for improving fertility and producing biogas. Now, manure, that is, you get the waste from the animals. Could be urine, the cattle urine, or the cattle poop. So this cattle poop or urine is used, can be also be used in biogas. Well, people use biogas to do very many things. Can be used for light, can be used for cooking. Yeah, you you rather ferment the cattle wastes, yeah, to give you biogas. And then drought, it's used for drought power for plowing and transportation. Drought power basically means it's used for work. Okay, the manual work you do at on your farm or at home. One is things like plowing. Remember when we're talking about farm implements and equipment, you're going to find out that we're using things like oxen, things like donkeys. Oxen for plowing, donkeys are used for transportation. Yeah. So with all that, that is what we call drought power, just the work that is done by the animals. Then employment opportunities. People who keep cattle, people who rear cattle also get money out of it. They make it a business. Employment is like business. Yeah. They can sell it and then they get the money. Same thing as income for farmers. After the farmer selling a particular bull, after the farmer selling a particular cow, after the farmer selling a particular bull, they get money out of it. Foreign exchange through livestock. export. So as you are going forward, you're going to find out that there's some livestock that we actually get from outside the country. So this kind of livestock, the moment we get maybe a cow from Kenya, the moment we get a cow, maybe a bull from some other country, when they are coming, they're always given particular different kinds of monies. Yeah, so that is the foreign exchange. It's also raw materials for industries, most especially the industry that use horns, bones, fats, the leather. Yeah, the industry that make yogurt, the industry that make powdered milk. All these things are got from cattle. So with that, those are some of the importances of cattle production. Now we are going to be looking at breeds of cattle. Cattle breeds are classified according to their main purpose. One, we have the dairy breeds. These are mainly kept for milk production. Dairy, you always go and buy milk from dairies, right? So dairy breeds are basically and mostly kept for only milk. So others, of course, slaughter and eat them, but the main purpose of having dairy breeds is for milk production. For example, we have the Holstein Friesian, the Jersey, the Guernsey, and the Ayrshire. These are all examples of cattle breeds, dairy breeds. So under the characteristic, for you to actually tell this particular animal is a dairy breed, one, they always have large udder. Number two, they have a high milk yield. The udder is the breast part of the cows, the one where we get milk from. It's called the udder. It always have 4 teats. Then it has a lean body. Lean body means it doesn't have a lot of meat on it. It has meat, but it doesn't look like that of beef. In other words, when I'm to use, let's say, Luganda, teina konyama nyingi, something like that. It doesn't have a lot of meat on it. Then it has well-developed milk veins. These ones, you can see them when you look at the udder. So let me try and show you here a video of a dairy cattle. When you look, though, now this becomes too much of the dairy animals. Some of these are called deformities in dairy animals, but basically dairy animals always have big udders. Show you. This is how the dairy cattle look like. Their udders are always big. Okay. I wanted to show you the veins.
Friends, if we talk about the 3 most milk-yielding cows in the world, the first one is Holstein Friesian, which is known to everyone in the world.
See, you can see the veins showing on the udders. So
at number 2 is the Brazilian Burilando cow, which is almost equal to the Holstein breed in milk yield, and at number 3 is the Jersey cow. Look friends, if we talk about
Friesian produces 30 liters of milk.
Now here they're going to explain more on the 4 different dairy breeds. We said we have the Friesian, we have the Ayrshire, we have the Guernsey, and then we have the Jersey.
Per day with 3.5 exotic dairy cattle breeds. The Friesian. It is black and white. Friesian produces 30 liters of milk per day with 3.5% butterfat content. It originated from Holland. 2. Guernsey. It is light brown and white. It produces 20 liters of milk per day with 4.5 to 5% butterfat content. Guernsey originated from the Guernsey island off the coast of France in the English Channel. Ayrshire. It is dark brown and white. It produces 17 liters of milk per day with 4% butterfat content. Ayrshire originated from Scotland. 4. Jersey. It is yellowish brown or fawn. It has a black tail switch and black muzzle with protruding black eyes. It produces 14 liters of milk per day with 5 to 5.3% butterfat content. Jersey originated from the Jersey island off the coast of France in the English Channel. The milk produced is 4,270 kilograms per lactation period of 305 days.
So those are the top four. Those are the top 4 dairy animals that we always have. So the best way to differentiate them, it's always the color that differentiates them. So now we are going to be looking at the beef breeds. So let me hope everyone is able to see that. So the beef breeds, these are mainly kept for meat production. The dairy breeds are mainly kept for milk. These ones are mainly kept for beef or meat production. Examples we have Hereford, Aberdeen Angus, Brahman, and then Carolais. Their characteristics: 1, they have a muscular body, they have fast growth, they have a broad back, and then they're good feed conversion. Good feed conversion means that they can easily turn feed into muscle. Yeah. We are also going to be able to see these different types of beef breeds. These breeds, basically, this is how they look like. They have a lot of muscle. They have a lot of muscle. They are good feed converters. You feed them, but after feeding them, this is what they convert the feeds to: a lot of muscle.
Beef breeds. Hereford. Hereford is deep red with a white face, white leg parts, and white underline. The tail, flanks, underline, and brisket are always white. It originated from Hereford, England. Charolais. It is cream white in color. Charolais was bred from France. 3. Aberdeen Angus. Aberdeen Angus has a shiny color with a long smooth coat of hair. It originated from Aberdeen, Scotland. 4. Galloway. Galloway is black with a brown tinge. It originated from Scotland. Its hair has a woolen appearance, thus it's able to withstand cold highland conditions. 5. Beef Shorthorns. It is roan or red in color. Beef Shorthorns originated from England. Beef breeds are kept for the production of meat called beef, rectangular with a lot of meat and muscle. They have strong bodies to support their bodies, yet they have a fast growth rate. 4. They produce beef of high quality. They are more resistant to diseases. 7. They take a short time to recover after birth, short calving interval, and breed regularly. They can maintain their weight even during drought. 8. They are good foragers. They don't select while feeding.
those are some of the examples of beef, the beef cattle. So we are now going to be looking at the dual purpose breeds or the dual purpose kind of cattle. Dual purpose basically means they're kept for everything or both. Yeah. So here they're telling us dual purpose. These are used for both milk and meat. Examples we have Cimento and then Brown Swiss.
Dual purpose breeds. These breeds are kept for production in color. Cattle is light red in color with white ears and white head. It originated from Switzerland. Sahiwal. Sahiwal is brownish red. It originated from Pakistan. It produces 10 liters of milk per day, a total of 3,000 liters for 305 days a year.
So that has showed us a brief view of how some of these dual purpose dairy breeds and then beef breeds look like. So we're now going to be looking at the systems of cattle productions. What kind systems of cattle production? This is basically how some of these animals are kept. Okay, how are some of these animals reared? In what system are they reared? So the first system we are going to be looking at is going to be the extensive system. Under the extensive system, animals graze freely on natural pasture. I think most of us in the villages, this is what we actually use. You have your cattle, you just let them move around as they eat or as they graze. Okay. Under this, low labor is required. Low labor, it doesn't mean, it means that you don't have to be there to watch the cattle. It doesn't, it means you don't have to get very many people to take care of the cattle. But this one is mostly done with the local breeds of cattle or the indigenous breeds of cattle. Okay. Low milk and meat yields. Under this, you always get low meat and milk yields because once you leave something to keep on moving, you leave your animal to keep on moving anyhow and anywhere, it can eat anything. And then the energy that they would, the feed conversion that would have been used to build up the muscle or to make the milk is going to be used by the animal when it's walking and looking for pastures. There's low production costs. That means the cost that you input when you are taking care of this animal, these kind of animals under the extensive system is lesser than any other system because your work is to only open the kraal for them to get out and let them feed anywhere and then open for them in the evening to get back. The common it's common where land is abundant. If you have a lot of land, you don't need to restrict the animals from walking around. So the advantages of extensive system, one we have it is cheap to operate. They say the production costs are very low. Less housing is required as long as there is where a kraal where the animals can actually sleep and rest. That is enough. It uses natural pastures. You don't have to go and plant elephant grass. You don't have to go and plant silver leaf desmodium. All these are pastures that are given to animals. You don't have to do that. Under extensive system, the animals just graze on the natural grasses that are there, or natural leaves or trees that are around. The disadvantages, there is slow growth, because the moment you're leaving them to move around, you're not paying attention to what they're eating, right? They might keep eating the same place, and then which has maybe grass that does not help them grow fast. There's disease transmission. Disease transmission under the extensive system is easy, yeah, because the animals can literally move anywhere and can literally contract diseases from anywhere. It is difficult to manage. This is because if you have 1,000 cattle, or even 500, or even 200, or even 100 cattle, but then your work is to open for them and leave them to roam around, you're going to find that maybe around 30 cattle have gone deep down the other side. Some are this side, like they keep on dispersing. Bringing them back will be kind of difficult, or even giving them water, things like that. Overgrazing may occur. You're going to find that there are animals that may not go to further places. They will remain around and they keep on grazing on the small grass that is there until the place remains bare. So overgrazing is over likely to happen. So our next system is the semi-intensive system. This is the combination of grazing and stall feeding. This means you have a kraal and then you build small stalls, yeah, or stalls, where under in those stalls there are feed troughs, yeah, where you're going to get elephant grass and any other pasture you cut for the animals and then give them. But then this also means that the animals can still go out and graze, but later on, when you bring them back, you can also give them feed from the feed troughs and the feed stall. The extensive system, they move around, they feed on their own. The semi-intensive system, it's both. They graze, but also when they come back home, you can feed them inside the stalls, okay? And then there's moderate labor and capital. The capital that you'll need is for building the stall, buying the other feeds besides the grasses that they can graze on. There's better productivity than extensive farming. This comes about in such a way that, remember, you're giving other supplements to these animals, okay? The animals are not only grazing on grass, but you can get some other type of pasture. You put them in the stalls or the feed troughs, and then these animals feed on, meaning the animals will get more nutrients. The animals under the semi-intensive system will get more nutrients compared to the animals under the extensive system. So next week, that we're going to talk about is the intensive system. In other words, we can also call it zero grazing. Here, animals are permanently housed, meaning the animals do not go out. Yeah, you build particular housings for them to there that particular cubicle of the animal. So you're going to give water, you're going to feed it. If it's management, spraying, removing ticks, there and there. One, the features we have cut and carry feeding, meaning is what I was explaining earlier. You put them in a particular cubicle, you build the different housings, and then you go cut and then bring the feeds to them. For them, they don't go out to look for the feeds. There is high management. This comes about in such a way that you always have to go and look after the animal. You always have to go and, is the food done? Maybe you have to keep on changing different diet so that the animal gets what it cannot get when it has not moved. Yeah, you have to measure that anything, if it's spraying, if it is deworming, if it is treatment, it's all done there. Then there is high productivity. This high productivity comes in a way that the energy the animal would have used for walking around, yeah, that energy is stored after the animal. Remember, there is less exercise done under this system. Yeah? So After them feeding, the animal is just lazy. The food now builds up a lot of muscle and meat. It requires good housing. Without good housing, you cannot carry out zero grazing. Advantages: there's high milk production, there is easier disease control. High milk production because after eating, all nutrients are taken into building up some of these milk cells, building up muscles. It's easier to control diseases. So it's more like you quarantine these animals. You just keep them in one place. Yeah. So if you keep something in one place, if one of the all three of the cattle are sick, you're able to treat them without them mixing with the other animals. So if you can treat, maybe see now how we had the Ebola issue. If someone was suspected to have Ebola or was treated with Ebola, was diagnosed with Ebola, they get them, they put them somewhere else and treat them from there, so that they are not able to spread the disease to other healthy people. Same thing with zero grazing. The fact that the animals are kept in their own different sectors, it's easy for you to actually treat the sick animal without it spreading to the others. There is efficient feeding. The fact that you always have to go and check up with the animals, see if the feeds are still there or they're not there. The animals can easily get food when the food is done, which is not there in extensive system, because extensive system, you will not even know that has this animal grazed or it has not grazed. But here it's easy for you to tell. There's better breeding management. Now, for better breeding management, when you look at the extensive system, for you're not going to know which type of animal has mated with which bull has mated with which cow. Okay, but here you can tell, if at all you want an animal that maybe has a lot of meat but also produces a lot of milk, it's easy for you to say you're going to mate a Frisian bull and maybe a Sahiwal, yeah, or you can say you're going to mate a beef breed and a dairy breed. But in the extensive system, they are all cows. This one will not know that now for me, I am a beef breed. I cannot mate with a dairy breed, or I cannot mate with a dual purpose breed. That is extensive. In extensive, they will just mate. But when it comes to the the zero grazing or the intensive system, it's easy for you to decide which one mates which one. Then disadvantages: it is expensive. You if you have, let's say, 50 cattle, you have to have housing for all the 50 cattle. You have to make feed troughs, water troughs for all the 50 cattle. So if you're also buying food, you have to buying and chopping or cutting and then carrying it. You have to do it for all the 50 cattle. It requires skilled labor. In other words, you have to have information, you have to have knowledge of how to do the zero grazing. High feeding costs. The fact that you have to feed almost every animal there by bringing in different pastures. Okay, since they cannot go and look for them, you have to go look for them and bring it to them, meaning you have to put in a lot of money. So number 5, we're going to be looking at housing for cattle. Just like you, even these animals also deserve housing. Okay, they deserve to be in better houses. So a good housing should provide one adequate ventilation. In other words, good housing should also have good housing should be well ventilated. In other words, the good housing should have proper doors, proper windows, a proper ventilation system where air can come in and out. Proper ventilation or adequate ventilation helps in improving the aeration in the cattle house. a good housing should provide clean water, should have a dry floor, proper drainage. For proper drainage, this means for an animal house or a cattle house, it could be a goat house. The floor should always be slightly slanting. Okay.
We know not all landscapes are suitable for crop production. For example, some fields are too wet, while others may be too steep to safely farm, or contain a soil type that is better suited for pasture.
Now, this is what we call the extensive system, where animals are just left to graze anywhere and anyhow.
Rather than becoming fallow, farmers can utilize those acres as pasture, allowing cows to exercise their superpower of converting human and edible plants to something we can consume: beef. Cows convert grass to beef while simultaneously maintaining habitat. Pasture system is less labor intensive for farmers, allowing advantage. Strongly supports cattle health and requires little investment in infrastructure like buildings and shelters. For families that already have pasture as a part of the operation, it's a cost-effective way to raise cattle. Pasture isn't always the ideal fit for all phases of the beef life cycle. Grass is a low-energy forage, so it's rather inefficient for any phase of production beyond a mama cow and her baby calf. Additionally, farmers are facing a drastic uptick in competition for pasture due to urban sprawl, the price of land, competition with crop production, and even hunting leases. For all these reasons, accessibility to pasture in Iowa continues to be more challenging and become costly. Next up is an open feedlot system. Open lots, like you see in the picture, can be dirt or cement. Most outside lots in Iowa would be dirt, like this farm in northwest Iowa. It can be noted this is primarily for feedlot cattle. It's not nearly as cost-effective to house cow-calf pairs in open lots due to high feed costs. Feedlots like this are the most common type of feedlot system in Iowa because they require less labor, materials, and
So, someone is there to provide for them the feeds. Now, this is what we call draft.
to build. Grouped in large pens, which gives animals more square feet per head compared to barn systems. Open lots are the most susceptible to inclement weather, especially in the spring with large rainfall events and at times lots of mud. Mud can temporarily make it more challenging for cattle to walk, stay dry, and require larger daily energy expenditures. Farmers use innovative methods such as shades, bedding, mounds, and slopes to combat inclement weather to keep cattle comfortable. Open lots give farmers flexibility on how large the lots and pens are, which can make the barrier to entry smaller for beginning farmers. Depending on the size of the feedlot and management style, fresh and readily available on site. Common feedstuffs include chop. Next up, we have the monoslope slat barn. A monoslope barn is a system that has gained popularity among farmers that are growing cattle in their developmental stages from approximately 1,000 to 1,600 pounds. Like other barns, cattle are easily monitored for any sickness or discomfort. Cattle are really efficient in this kind of system, oftentimes having higher average daily gains while eating less feed during frigid temperatures. You'll notice the pitch of the roof is slanted upwards. This allows the sun to shine in during the winter and provides shade during the summer with ample airflow. Monoslopes have slatted floors. This keeps
So in other words, this is like zero.
pens clean by allowing manure to fall through the floor to a cement storage tank. The slatted floor works best for mature cattle, so this type of system is used primarily for finishing cattle destined for the beef supply. Manure is pumped out and deposited on crop fields. It's a highly valuable source of fertilizer for growing crops, so the benefits are twofold: returning nutrients back to the soil and saving on fertilizer costs the farmer would otherwise have to purchase. The biggest cons of this type of
I want you, I need you, oh God. This can also be a cattle a cattle shed, yeah, or it's also otherwise called a cattle barn. The people carrying out zero grazing always use this. As you can see, this housing, it's segmented into different segments. One cubicle, one cow, another cubicle, another cow. All feeding is done there.
Don't take these beautiful things that I've got. I want you, I need you.
With that being said, I think we can now continue. So we have looked at the systems and we're looking at the housing. So we looked at the types of housing. We said we had open shed, closed barn, zero grazing units, and then loose housing. We are now going to be looking at feeding of cattle. Proper nutrition is essential for growth, milk production, reproduction, and disease resistance. So we are going to be looking at the types of feed. What types of feed are you supposed to be giving your cattle? One, we have roughages. Roughages contain high fiber. Under that, we have pasture grass, hay, silage, crop residues, and concentrates. Okay. Now, for roughages, when as humans, when you're eating, when they tell you you require roughages in your body, one, these are the greens that you always add when you're eating. One, we have skuma, cabbage, things like nakati, dodo. So those are roughages. Here we look, when you're looking at animals, you're not basically going to give them skuma, nakati, and dodo, but we have pasture grass. And then we have hay and silage. Hay is partially dried grass where you plant a particular pasture, and then before it flowering, you harvest it, and then you partially dry it and then keep. For silage is you get when it's still fresh, and then it's like you ferment it, yeah, to make an animal feed. Crop residues after harvesting, there are some husks or after the things people call rubbish after, things like maize, the maize stalk, beans, the bean stalks. Yeah, you can always feed them to the animals. And then concentrates. Then they contain high nutrients. One, we have maize bran. All of us know what maize bran is. Maize bran, you see the portion you people eat. You guys eat the feeds you're supposed to be eating as people. You instead give them to animals and chicken. The part of maize bran is what actually has nutrients. Yeah. So they get maize, they take it to the milling machine. The part that they always remove as maize bran is the most nutritious part on the maize. Get. So we have maize bran, we have cotton seed cake, we have sunflower cake, soybean meal, and then mineral supplements. All these are feeds that contain high nutrients and are needed by the animals. So the feeds can also provide calcium, phosphorus, trace minerals, salt, and water. So the importance of roughages or the importance of these feeds. One, they help in digestion. Number two, they increase on milk production. Number four, there is a body temperature regulation, most especially when you provide animals with water, you help them regulate on their temperatures. They also help in nutrient transport. Adult dairy cows may require large amounts of clean water daily. especially in hot weather or during peak milk production. That's why you find that a Frisian cattle or Frisian cow, they'll take in a day, they might take over 100 liters of water just because they really need that water to make the milk. Okay. Now you're going to be now looking at pasture management. Pasture management. Pasture, these are the feeds that are grown and given to animals. So good pasture management includes rotational grazing, weed control, fertilizer application, reseeding, controlled stocking rate, and then irrigation. So rotational grazing, this is where people who do the paddock system. Paddock system of grazing is where they make small sections of land. So in those small sections are called paddocks. So if paddock one, if maybe in 3 days the animals were in paddock one, yeah, the next 3 days you take them to paddock two, but on the same piece of land, to give time for the grass in paddock one to grow. So as they're eating, they're grazing on the grass in paddock two. After more 3 days, it depends on how you actually want to run your system. Others even do it for after a week, they change to the different paddocks. So that is rotational grazing. When they graze here today, you take them to another place to graze. When that place is done, you take them to another place to graze. Weed control is basically removing the weeds out of the pasture land. Fertilizer application, you apply fertilizers to increase on the growth or improve on the growth of the pasture. Controlled stocking rate, how much are you stocking? For example, if you are carrying out hay, if you're doing hay production, yeah, the fact that you are going to plant and cut and then dry, how long are you supposed to do that? If you do it consistently, or if you overdo it, you also spoil the hay. But you have to have a consistent way of uh, overstocking the pasture. Irrigation is basically just watering. So what are some of the benefits of pasture management? What? There is better forage quality. Forage is just the pasture, okay? The green pastures, the green grass that the animals feed in. So if you do all these things, if you manage the pasture in your cattle farm or your farm well, you get better forage quality. Next, there is increased carrying capacity. Increased carrying capacity means you are going to have, if you manage the pasture well, you have enough to feed the animals that are going to increase on what you have on the farm, or the number of animals that you have on the farm. There is reduced erosion. This comes about when you carry out what we call the rotational grazing. That means you're not going to have overgrazing, because you give time for a particular part that has been grazed to regrow. The pasture there will regrow. So when the grasses regrow, they are going to reduce on the effects of erosion. Healthy animals. If you are to carry out pasture management, you're going to have healthy or good quality forage. And if there is good quality forage, you'll also have healthy animals, because they are going to be feeding on good quality pasture. Okay. So we are now going to be looking at breeding methods. So we basically have two types of breeding methods. One, we have the natural mating, and then the artificial insemination. For natural mating, this is where the bull naturally mates with the cow without inducing anything. Okay. As long as the cow is on heat, the bulls always sense. You see, most times when you have a farm, the bulls always go and smell on the behind parts of the the cow, and then they kind of put their teeth outside. If you've seen something like that, that means there will be natural mating. Now, the advantages we have: one, it is simple and cheap. It's a natural thing, so it happens on its own. Okay. Disadvantages: the disease transmission. Here you're going to find that a bull might be sick, but then they transmit it to the cow. Or the cow might be sick and then they transmit it to the bull. Remember, you have no control over it, it just happens. It is difficult to improve genetics rapidly. So if maybe a particular you want to change the genes of a particular offspring, yeah, when it comes to natural mating, you cannot change it. If I told the bull that you have maybe it has dark fur, black fur, but then for you want your offsprings to have maybe brown, should be roan, or black and white. If the bull is black and the cow is also black, you're not going to change anything. It's still going to be black, black. Yeah. If you go into senior 6 and you're doing genetics, you'll get to know how this actually happens. But now, if you want to genetically change a particular gene on your cattle, let's say maybe you want something that produces a lot of milk, an offspring that produces a lot of milk, or an offspring that has a lot of meat, produces a lot of meat. Yeah. If you're not carrying out natural mating, it's easy for you to do that, because you will say, okay, the other bull has a lot of meat on it. I'm going to cross it with this other cow that doesn't have. So if that cow, if the bull's genes are dominant over the genes for the cow, expect the offsprings or the calves to have the meat or to be like the dads. Okay. Next, we're going to be looking at artificial insemination. So for artificial insemination, the semen from selected bulls is inserted into the cows. So this one you manually mate the cows. Okay. This is where you get sperms from, or semen from the bull. Yeah. After getting semen from the bull, you now put it into the cow yourself, not the bull now mating with the cow. We are going to see how that is also done. Advantages: there is rapid genetic improvement. As I was explaining, it's easy for you to actually decide what type of offsprings you want in the next season. There's reduced disease spread. The fact that you get the semen from the bull yourself, it's easy for you to tell this bull was sick, so I cannot get semen out of it. You rather look for the healthy bull to get the semen out of it, or even when you're going to inseminate the cow. Yeah. If the cow is sick, it cannot transmit the disease to the bull. There is no need to keep breeding bulls. Your farm can literally just have only cows. Yeah. Your work is to maybe go to the plants or the agricultural bases that collect semen. You buy semen, because you're going to find the semen that is got from one bull can actually inseminate, or can inseminate over 30 cows, or even 10 cows. You get. So you just get, and then your work is to inseminate the cows that you want. Even if you don't have the bulls, there's lower risk of injury. This comes about that you're going to find most times that bulls are bigger than the cows. Okay. Now, if a bull is bigger than the cow, but then it wants to mount the cow, how do you expect that small cow not to be injured? So if the bull is big, that means the cow is going to feel the heavy weight of the bull. Okay. So that lowers the risk of injury, because the big bull is not going to mount like a small cow, okay? But instead it's still going to carry out the insemination. Disadvantages: it requires technical or trained technicians. If you do not have knowledge of how to collect the semen or how to inseminate the cow, you're going to end up either damaging it or just making losses. Heat detection must be accurate. Now, you see, for natural mating, a bull can easily tell that the cow is on heat because they always emit a particular pheromone or a smell that makes the bull know that, okay, now this one is ready for servicing. But now for artificial insemination, you always have to be there to see the different signs, because there are cows that have silent heat. What I mean by silent heat: the symptoms of heat do not show. So you really have to be keen to see the animal, the cow, to see the heat signs. Okay, you really have to be keen. But for natural mating, the bulls can literally smell the cow that is on heat. That's why saying heat detection must be accurate. You might be seeing mucus out of the vulva. You think the cow is on heat, but then when it's another underlying problem. Okay, you might see the cow very restless, running around, thinking it's on heat, but then it's just maybe stressed out over something else or scared. So before us going to reproduction in cattle, I wanted to show you how artificial insemination is done. Now, we are going to, before we go here, I wanted to first show you how semen selection, semen collection is done. So for semen selection, they get a cow that they have maybe detected it being on heat. Then they bring a teaser bull. So once the bull has smelled the pheromones from the cow that it actually wants to mate, the technician will come. They always have something they call the artificial vagina. It has the warm water. They make it to feel like the normal vagina of a bull. Okay, sorry, of a cow. So they get it. So once the bull has been got and it has erected fully, they insert the artificial vagina into the reproductive part of the bull. So it will release the semen, thinking that it's releasing into the cow. So that is how semen is collected from the bull.
ये देखो जी।
Let's see how artificial insemination actually happened.
Wish that you could build a time machine so you could see the things no one can see. Feels like you're standing on the edge, looking at the stars and wishing you were there. What do you do when the chapter ends? Do you close the book, never read it again?
Year-round, they've got the same amount of cows coming in.
So when it comes to artificial insemination, the person going to inseminate always has to have what we call a hand glove, yeah, because they are going to insert that hand inside the rectum of the cow so that they are able to feel the cervix and guide the instrument that has the semen.
All the time.
So this is what is going to carry the semen and what is going to be guided into.
And if you want to see this process, you can. And the reason that we try to artificially inseminate instead of breeding just with a bull is because we can pick a bull that maybe suits a certain cow, maybe her weaknesses, maybe she needs more frame or more muscle or more milking properties, and we can breed that into her with a certain bull. So we try to we can be genetically superior in selection on our bulls, and we can have a really, really good herd. But she was in heat. We use a 7-day cedar synchronization that time.
Now I'm ready to breed. I like to breed with a sleeve on, with a shirt sleeve on. Yeah, some people, you want to be down to a short sleeve or a light shirt, but I like to put it on so when I put this glove on, this thing kind of binds up. Now some people put like a little clip right here, keep it up there, but I think it kind of binds up a little bit. It helps. And then we get this gel for lubricant. Now sometimes you can use warm water too. I'll just put a little in my hand. You don't need very much. And we worry about this later. We gotta go place the semen now. Now normally we don't have much time. You want to get this inside your animal within a few minutes. So I got this jelly and I smear that around her penis there. And they go in. Now she's got a lot of manure in there. Now ideal would be if she could take a dump by herself. Otherwise this is what they call paddling. You gotta get some of that manure removed. So if she takes a poop right before you come to her, that's ideal. It's nice and clean in there. You can reach right in and find your cervix. Otherwise there's just not enough room. Okay, now we're gonna try to find my cervix. Take your towel and clean. And cleanliness is the biggest part of this. You don't want to invite anything into that cervix. On this side of the cervix, it's usually okay. And I usually like to lean down a little bit. And if you got help, sometimes they can spread that area a little bit, but not my cervix. Now this is a really tall cow. And if you're a short person, I've heard of people standing on a bale of hay or something to try to reach, but and I gently wiggle it through. You got 1, 2, Just relax, girl. 3, there. And I can feel the end. I go through the cervix, maybe only a ½ inch, ¼ inch. Not very far. Start it really slow. And then what I like to do is I like to get under the light. And if I don't have a dab of blood or something around that, I knew I did not go too far. That is the key. So you grip this really hard, and you take your clean hand, and you unturn that. Now I got my straw, and it's an empty straw there now. Hold it.
So that is how artificial insemination is done. So if you want to learn or see more of how these processes are done, you can always go on YouTube and find out. So that being said, I am now going to be looking at the reproduction in cattle. So under reproduction, we have different terms we use. One is puberty. I know you've heard of puberty before, but this is the age at which cattle become sexually mature. Ostrus means heat. So when you read some and say the ostrus period of a cow, or what are the signs of ostrus in cows, that literally meaning what are the signs of heat in cows. This is a period when the cow is ready for mating. Then gestation period. This is the gestation period means how long does it take for a cow to give birth if at all it has already mated, meaning it's about 283 days, approximately 9 months. Then calving. Calving means giving birth. Weaning, it separates cows from milk. Just like how when a lactating mother, wants the baby to stop breastfeeding, that is called weaning. So we also have calf management. Under calf management, we have feeding colostrum within the first few hours after birth. Disinfecting the navel. Remember, the navel is still fresh because we just cut the umbilical cord, the connection they had with the mother. Providing clean housing, vaccination, deworming, supplying clean water, and introducing solid feeds gradually. Gradually means slowly. What is the importance of calf management? 1, it improves survival, promotes rapid growth, and then reduces disease outbreak in the calves. Then we also have milking management. Under milking management, you have the good milking practices. What are you supposed to do when you're going to milk? First things first, wash hands. After washing hands with clean water and soap, you were supposed to clean the udder. Now you see how the Frisian udders look like. They are literally very, very big. Yeah. So meaning you have to clean them. Yeah? Clean them with warm water. After cleaning them with warm water, you're supposed to use a clean equipment to milk. Those who use machines, make sure those machines are clean. If you're using your hands, good thing you also washed your hands. Then you're supposed to filter the milk. Remember, when you're milking, the hairs, the cattle hair or the cattle fur can easily drop into the milk. So after milking, you use a sieve to filter the milk. Cool the milk immediately after milking, and then store the milk hygienically or store the milk properly. Don't leave it in we have a milking bucket, and we also have a milking can. A milking bucket is used when you're milking. That's if you're using the hands. Then the milking can, this is where you pour in the milk after milking. The importance: 1, it prevents milk contamination. Number 2, it maintains milk quality. Next, it reduces mastitis. Mastitis happens when there is an increase of somatic cells in the milk. That is when you can detect mastitis, or the milk can have, the animal can have mastitis. So if you have a good milking, if you do good milking practices, you reduce the risk of the animal having mastitis. And then we have the common diseases of cattle. Here you're going to find the common disease, the signs and the control. The common disease is one of the common diseases in cattle we have is mastitis. The signs, there is a swollen udder and abnormal milk. For you to know that the animal actually has mastitis, you use what we call a strip cup. After milking, you get the milk and then pour it onto the strip cup. Yeah, the strip cup has a black panel on top. So when you pour, if the milk is okay, as the milk is pouring, then you're not going to see any stains of blood or any other particles remaining on top of the strip cup. Okay, then how can you control mastitis? One, you should have good hygiene, and then once you find out that there is maybe signs and symptoms of mastitis, you are supposed to treat immediately. Next disease we have is foot and mouth disease. Signs, there are mouth sores, and then there is lameness. You see, a instead of it walking properly, it starts walking like as if it is lame. Then mouth sores. Mouth sores are wounds on the mouth. How can you control it? Vaccinate. Vaccinate the animals. And then, if at all it already has foot and mouth disease, you're supposed to quarantine it, keep it away, isolate it from the healthy animals. The next disease that we have is East Coast fever. Signs, it is fever, swollen lymph nodes. Then the best way to control is you're supposed to control the ticks. Ticks are one of the parasites that bring about East Coast fever. Once you control ticks, you've started your control of your control of East Coast fever. Then also vaccinate. Then the other disease that we have is brucellosis. Brucellosis. What are the signs that can show you that this animal has brucellosis? If it's a pregnant animal or a cow, the cow will have abortions. Okay, the cow will lose the baby. Then there is infertility. That however much you try to mate, yeah, the cow will not be able to get pregnant. So the control, vaccinate, test, and then cull infected animals. Cull means remove, isolate the infected animals. And next we also have anthrax. The sign for anthrax is sudden death and bleeding. The best way to control is vaccinate, proper disposal of carcasses. Carcasses are dead animals. Okay, if an animal has died because of anthrax, please don't eat and don't just leave it there, but rather go and bury it. So down there, we're also going to be looking at common parasites. Common parasite one, we have external parasites. We have external parasites and internal parasites. For external parasites, we have ticks, lice, fleas, and mites. How can you control external parasites? One, by dipping. Dipping, here they make how should I call it? They make a house. Yeah. So in that house they put stairs. And then when they put stairs, inside that very house, they always put their what we call acaricides. Okay. So when they put those acaricides, they fill the house with acaricides. So the animal just goes through the house it wants to look like a swimming pool for animals. As it is going through the house, it is swimming in the acaricide that will help kill the external parasite. The next is spraying, then pour on insecticides, good sanitation. The other is internal parasites, where we have roundworms, tapeworms, and liver flukes. The control, deworming, rotational grazing, clean water, providing them with clean water, and then the good pasture management. I wanted to show you a video of dipping, cattle dip. That is a cattle dip. They just swim in the acaricide. So this liquid you see is actually a curry. It is medicine that helps in healing cattle. Then there's one we call spray bait. So this is how a spray race looks like. The cow just enters inside and then it is sprayed with acaricide. So if you cannot afford a spray race, you can always use what we call a knapsack sprayer. Now this is a knapsack sprayer. If you don't have the money to make a lot of it, you don't have the money to do a spray race, you can always buy this knapsack sprayer. So it seems like we have been caught up with time. So I think Adam shall still be continuing with cattle production. So for today, that is what we are going to handle. And I hope you have learned something. You can now differentiate between the different types of cattle that you see around you. I hope you can now educate someone on how to take care of their cattle. So thank you very much. Our next lesson, we shall be looking at the routine management practices of cattle animals. Allow me stop there unless someone has a question for me.
Thank you so much, Teacher Immaculate, for rolling out our learners. Thank you for sharing knowledge and expertise. We really appreciate you. These and all the live classes are recorded. They are uploaded on the Magezi platform that you can access at Magezi at harvest.magezi.space.